Hello, this is Will. I'm a real werewolf. Please like and subscribe to this channel if you would, or video or whatever. I've been asked to stop swearing by Louis, so as a favour, I'm going to stop swearing in this bit. Hello, my name's, what's my name again? That's it, Will. I'm a real werewolf, and I'm telling my story at the moment in time. I've done quite a few of these interviews now, so you might want to go back and listen to some of them. I think this is number 8 or 9 or so. I don't know. It's one of them. There is a website apparently going to be set up in January, which is www.werewolf.host, and I'm actually an administrator on that. So you've got a real werewolf that you can ask questions if you really want to ask questions to a real werewolf. Apparently I'm one of the administrators. I don't know actually what that is, but I am one. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel, which I didn't know it was going to be, and what else is it? Yeah, bollocks. So I'd been captured by the British Army and I'd been interrogated, and basically they were asking me questions about my life, so I basically told them the stories of what had happened, so how I'd met my posit. My posit's my wolf soul. You can go and listen to that on how to become a werewolf. That's one of the interviews. So my wolf soul is separate to me. He's actually from a real wolf back in the past, and I have to absorb him to become a werewolf. He's also lived for centuries, and he has the memories of centuries and the people that he's been with. And he moves from body to body if he needs to. It's up to him, really. He's called Fenrir. Yeah, it's a great name. So I'm going to talk about, this is what I told the British Army about my first kill. The first time I killed something properly, like a proper human. So I've written this down because it's quite a long story. So if it sounds like I'm reading something, the reason for that is because I'm reading something. So I hope you enjoy. My first human victim was a 4-year-old thing, a 4-year-old boy, I think. I'd killed some bugs and a hamster and some other stuff well before my 3rd birthday. My posit, my wolf soul, was so proud of me. I'd spent some time torturing a baby bird I found out of its nest. The posit had sat with me and showed me ways to give pain and panic, and then how to reduce them and rebuild them again. I mean, it was practice for my future work and art form. You know, he was my master and I was the apprentice. I like to call myself a Padawan, but that's because I'm a Star Wars fan. I'd even managed to trap and kill Mr. fucking Wrinkles. That's next door's almost feral feline freak. This hissing ball of furry fury had been my introduction to cats, and would be the reason that I would hate and remove fucking cats. I hate cats, and every opportunity I ever get to kill a cat, I kill it. He'd been quite a challenge for a 3-year-old, but I'd trapped him in my pale blue crocheted blankie and beaten him to death with the percussive mallets of my glockenspiel. I am so happy I managed to work glockenspiel into this story somewhere. You don't see a lot of reference to glockenspiels in stories. Fenrir, my posit, had then decided it was time to raise the stakes, as it were. I had a need for more and bigger game to play with and destroy. I wanted to hurt things that knew what it was to actually live, to have consciousness. He had chosen my first murder. I was so excited to have him give me this opportunity. This first human murder would be my step into the big time. Hey, don't judge me, I was only 3. Oh, and at this point I have to highlight that I did not kill the kid because he was cruel to me or that he'd made me angry by stealing a toy or hurt me in any way. He hadn't done anything really. He'd just been there and been, vulnerable. It was just that I wanted to hurt someone, and to be honest, it wasn't to do with the posit, it was me that wanted to kill. The posit had snuffled around it as I watched it. The child thing, I mean. It was kind of irritating to watch it play with all my stuff. I mean, it was really irritating that it played with my stuff. Correction, it was actually irritating to watch the thing breathe. I felt a little new emotion, a little anger at the existence of this thing. The posit having kind of given him a thorough looking over, then sat by me and just looked interested in what was going to happen. He smiled and nodded towards me, inviting me to come over and start the hunt, start the hurt. He really did not need to push me, to be honest, into doing anything. He already knew that I was capable of this act. Right, well, let's do this. Now, it's bigger than you, so it may struggle, but if you do the job very quick, then there will be no struggle with it, my posit told me. It then happened. It seemed like a horrific accident at my mother's home. After the incident, the coroner filed that the poor child had unfortunately fallen. During the fall, it had hit its soft head on the corner of an open drawer in my mother's bedroom. It was such a sad and unfortunate accident to have happened. So rare that this kind of tragedy could strike in the home. My mother and his mother had found us in the room sometime later. They'd only left us for a moment to have a refreshing afternoon daiquiri. They were trying so hard to seem posh, so an afternoon cocktail was the way for them to try and do that. When they found us, I was happily playing in the corner of the room, covered in his dried blood. They mentally tried to dismiss the fact that I had his blood around my mouth and covering my hands as I sat there. Maybe they thought that I tried to help the poor wounded child. A 3-year-old is not capable of killing, is he? I watched his mother melt as she broke down over the death of that useless bit of flesh. At first it was thrilling to watch her crumble and break. She lay her arms wrapped around the dead child and cried and fucking sobbed. She kept on asking it to wake up. What a fool, did she not realise it was dead? She was just stupid. I watched happily giggling and pointing at the silly woman until I was removed from the scene. I found that pretty annoying. I was enjoying the sad lady. Looking back to the incident, I remember the joy of walking up to the dumb kid and taking his head in both my hands. I then looked at Fenrir and he nodded and smiled as he looked first at me and then the toddler's skull. I then began ramming that skull on the corner of the drawer. I remember the celebrating howling of my posit as I repeatedly smashed the child into the sharp edge of the drawer. The crunch of the skull was palpable each time it hit. The excitement climaxed as it went from a crying and moaning thing to a still and silent thing. I remember placing my hand over its mouth and nose, trying to make it quiet, feeling the breath slow down and become shallower. It pathetically struggled. I held it firm as I looked deep into its eyes, watching that poor little innocent creature fight for life, seeing the confusion in its little mind and the anguish that I had created. I was watching for that moment where the more romantic of you would say that its soul left its body. Whatever you think about these things, I watched it fucking die and be no more. I had destroyed something and I knew that it could never be fixed. I had changed the world. I'd destroyed something pure and innocent. It was the loss of my virginity, and it was fucking amazing and needed to be repeated. Lots. It was my first human kill. I felt truly alive. Death is a gift I love to give, and the only thing that allows me to continue. My posit needs it. To live, we need to cause death. It is just a lucky happenstance that we both enjoy killing so much. My posit chose well in me. He sat by me as I was sat in my room after the fact. He told me of his pride at what I'd done. He loved me. He really loved me. I loved him. The bond between us was built. You have to remember I was being interviewed by the chief at this point, the guy that was trying to get me into the army. So then, this is him talking to me. Okay then, said the chief. He looked at his secretary, who was just sat there with his mouth hanging open. The secretary was typing up notes, and he was shocked. Ahem, the chief coughed to get the secretary's attention. Can we get back to it, Major? Yes, sorry, sir. And the Major just pointed at the cage.